Hello, everybody. Today is April 7th, 2020, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the current um, astrological weather and some other things. I'm going to bring up a chart kind of right away to start with. We've got, here's the chart. It's 10:35 Pacific Coast time near Portland, Oregon. And as I'd like to point out, mainly today, Mars is making a square, a 90-degree angular aspect with Uranus over here in Taurus. This is not a super rare occurrence, although it's not as Uranus moves about 7 years through each sign. So there's only over those 7 years so many times that Mars makes a square with Uranus. But given the current situation going on our planet, this does feel worth looking at. So Mars, many of you are probably familiar with the archetype of Mars, which is, the warrior, impulse, instinct, initiative, to take action. In traditional astrology, it was thought of as a malefic, bringing things with it like strife and cutting or burns, sudden separation, things like that. It's got a very yang energy, as does Uranus, although slightly different. And then Uranus is one of the transpersonal planets, meaning, we can't see it with the naked eye. Saturn tends to be considered the last of the, I wouldn't necessarily personal, but social planets that we are able to see with the naked eye. So they're not being able to see Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto also gives you a clue into their nature, which is to work more on the invisible parts of the human being or of the soul. Maybe not just personality, although they certainly affect the personality. But I see them as really focusing on our personal and collective evolution. And the nice thing about the transpersonal planets is that they also move so slowly that they seem to encompass these bigger cycles of time, these bigger unfolding of humanity and the themes and archetypes in which we are dealing with at a given time in history. So Uranus is the Great Awakener. Richard Tarnas calls it Prometheus, the Awakener. It is the planet of innovation, of new and sudden ideas. In an individual's chart, Uranus and its aspects that it make normally represent the kind of higher mind of the individual or the potential genius that can arise. Some people relate it in evolutionary astrology to this kind of idea of trauma and transcendence, that these kind of awakening experiences that we have in our life can often come about through traumatic events. I mean, we could see the coronavirus as a type of collective traumatic event that also offers this potential for awakening or transcendence. So I think awakening is the key word there. I like thinking of Uranus as the higher octave of Mercury. So the mind, language, insight, imagination, Uranus can bring those kind of new imaginations to humanity or to the individual. On a kind of lower vibration, there's also just this element of it causing people the need to individuate or to individualize, to rebel against the norms or the standards or the laws set by Saturn, a need to break away from form, from what's been given. This is, all technologies in a way can be seen as Uranian. And a lot of our development is governed by Uranus, but by the dance between Saturn and Uranus. Saturn being the past, the forms that have been created, the foundation in which we grow on, and Uranus, the kind of the newness, the crack. As Leonard Cohen says, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's a very much a kind of Uranus gesture. And so the past couple of days, we've been feeling this energy, and for the next week or so, I would imagine this energy would be very up and relevant for everyone. Um, this can be anything from, be careful to having sudden outbursts of that Martian energy, which could be like the will to do something different, the need to move. There does tend to be a lot of more energy in the system. It can be sudden outbursts of violence and or anger. It's a good time to be mindful of your temper. It can be sudden breakthroughs, sudden separations, sudden insights, sudden changes of direction. That's something I really see Mars as. As you see, we've got the little arrow there, which is really like, how does the spirit manifest its will into matter, right? We've got the circle of spirit there supporting the cross of matter up there. So how does the soul will transform the material realm, the earth, our incarnation? What do we want to do here? And being aspected by that Uranian energy. That could also be some of this earthquake energy that we're having here, at least in the Pacific Northwest. I believe there's tremors going on kind of all over the place. So there is this kind of like electric breaking up of the earth, of the material. I could probably go on and on, but those are some of the ideas that come to my mind. In terms of our current world situation, it could mean the potential of some of the people who are feeling very restless inside, starting to exercise their freedom. I'm not going to be trapped. I'm not going to be stuck, and acting independently, potentially in harmful ways for the collective. I know here in the Portland area, we've just had intense, cold, wet, rainy weather, and a couple days ago the sun came out and there was like this break in the clouds, and a kind of feeling of breaking through something, or breaking free, or of entering into a more positive, liberated kind of soul mood, even if it's just out in your garden or walking around. There was that kind of breath of fresh air, that kind of sense of hope. So it doesn't all have to be negative by any means. This can be a really positive transit, but it is, how do we continue to think of the collective, right? How can we keep acting for the collective, and at the same time being able to feel that sense of freedom, that sense of openness, that sense of bringing in something new. And maybe it will be new information we're getting about the virus and about the economy. So those were just some thoughts I wanted to share. It is happening right on the full moon too, which is, there's going to be the full moon, Sun in Aries, full moon in Libra, happening pretty sure this evening. Let's see. It will happen at 6:04 this evening, Pacific Coast time. And so that also brings a lot of energy, the build up to the full moon, and always also make something more objective, bring things more to light. So I wouldn't be surprised if there, and I have not checked the news yet, if there would be some news, some things especially around our personal freedom, the sheltering in place, if there's some idea of kind of what those next steps will be, or issues around that, of people refusing to stay in, things like that. Anyway, I hope that was helpful, and thanks for listening.